What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I am partnering up with Cirque Colors to show you their Vice 2025 polishes, which I am super excited about. If you aren't familiar with Vice, this is a collection that Cirque does every year of limited edition neon cream nail polishes. And it's a mix of new releases as well as re-releases from previous Vice years. But before we get into the details, if you haven't heard of Cirque Colors before, they are an independent nail polish brand that is based in the US, and all of their polishes are non-toxic. They are vegan, meaning they do not use any animal-derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty-free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. So this year we actually have 7 shades in the collection, which is a mixture of newer releases plus some re-releases, like I said, 6 of which are neon colors, and then we actually have a neon white, which we'll talk about during the swatches. And I'll also show you some comparisons with some previous year's Vice shades, because sometimes at first glance they can seem a little bit similar, so I like to show you a little side by side of that, and then we'll get into all the details. So let me show you the swatches first, then we can talk about pricing, availability, my thoughts on them, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Cirque base coat. So let's start off with one of the re-releases. This is Miami-Dade, and this is a neon cyan blue cream shade. And as you can see, the formula on this is absolutely incredible. It's definitely way more saturated than any regular blue cream in this kind of color. So that's where the neon comes in, and also it is blacklight reactive, but this is just such a creamy, easy to use polish. I can't believe you get this sort of intensity from this type of formula, because I feel like even blues in general, especially when they're this light, can be a little bit patchy or gummy. So this is a tried and true favorite of mine. And then we've got one of the new releases. This is Drama Queen, and this is a neon warm toned purple. So basically kind of like a neon fuchsia, magenta, orchid kind of shade. And it is really intense and bright. Again, the formula on this is absolutely incredible. Now, this is something that's fairly common with neons, but it does dry down to a semi-plasticky kind of finish. So you do want to make sure that you're doing top coat over it to get that nice, smooth, glossy finish. But I always recommend top coat anyway. But this color, absolutely stunning, super vibrant, and I feel like it can work for multiple times in the year. Next up, we have the shade Retail Therapy. This is another re-release, and this is actually one of my all-time favorite Vice shades because it is just the most neon pink ever, and the formula, again, is just so incredible. I know I sound like a broken record, but I have talked about neons so much on my channel, and Cirque just always tops the list for me. I think they always do such an amazing job. Like, look at how vibrant this color is and how easy that formula is. Like, sometimes you see polishes that look like this in the bottle and then they take like 6 coats to get opaque, and this one was just perfect opacity in 2. And then we've got another re-release shade. This is Valley of the Dolls, and this is actually another neon pink, but this time it's sort of a neon pastel light bubblegum kind of pink color. And again, you can see that formula is incredible. I almost got 1 coat coverage on my nail length, which is truly amazing. It didn't feel chalky or thick at all to apply, and it's just so vibrant. Honestly, I don't think my camera does this one justice because it really looks like it has a white base coat underneath it, but it's just that opaque on its own. So really incredible shade. And then we have the shade Boozy Brunch. This is another re-release shade, and this one is described as a neon coral cream. And again, we have this sort of gorgeous, almost white looking base to it. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. I feel like these types of shades, when they're lighter and they're so vibrant, they just look like they have a white base underneath it over like a sheer color. That is what really blows my mind, because I feel like those are the most difficult formula to get right. And this one, again, just super smooth, super creamy, really easy to work with. And again, I just don't think my camera did this one justice because I think it's even more vibrant than it looks in my swatch. Now, for a quick comparison, I did think in the bottle this one looked similar to Game Over, which is a neon red from a previous collection, but I will say side by side, they definitely look very different. So these are definitely not dupes to me. I can justify owning both of them. Then we have the shade Suninn. This is another new release, and this one was the one I was probably the most excited for, because if you know me and you know the Cirque Vice collections, you probably know that the yellows are my absolute favorite that Cirque does. They just make the best yellow polishes. And truly, when it comes to neons, I don't think anybody does it as well as Cirque does with yellow neons. And this one is no exception. It's an absolutely gorgeous, slightly green toned highlighter yellow cream. Again, it looks like it has that white base underneath. I feel like I could get away with doing 2 coats if I did thicker coats, but for this swatch, I ended up doing 3, and it just looked so perfect. Yellow polishes in general, I always end up doing 3 coats, so this one is not a surprise to me, but just the formula being so easy and incredible, I am blown away by this one. And of course, this one in the bottle did look similar to some previous shades that are also favorites of mine, so I wanted to do a quick comparison side by side. So on the left, we have Hedonist, which is more of a neutral yellow, and honestly, side by side with the others, it doesn't quite look as neon, but I will also say these are older bottles from previous releases, so sometimes the neon pigment loses a little bit of its intensity over time. And then on the right side, we have Electric Daisy, and that one is a little bit more green tone. So it's kind of interesting looking at Suninn. I feel like it's almost a combination of Hedonist and Electric Daisy, which are 2 of my absolute favorite yellow polishes of all time. So I'm totally pleased with this one. I really love how light it is. And the final shade in the collection is this one, White Lie. This is another new release, and this one is super interesting as a concept. It's actually described as a neon white nail polish, and I'm sure a lot of people are curious as to how this differs from a regular white nail polish. First of all, I will say the formula on this one, also amazing. No surprise there. It gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats on my nail length, and it ended up just being a really smooth, easy formula to apply. White can be so tricky to work with, but I definitely didn't have that problem with this one. But I did want to show you a comparison with their regular white polish. I feel like it's actually a little bit more noticeable in real life than it is on camera, but White Lie has a little bit of this bluish kind of undertone to it, so it ends up having this cooler, brighter look, whereas Carpe Diem just feels very slightly warmer. And if you own a bottle of Carpe Diem, you've probably noticed there's this very tiny hint of a golden shimmer running throughout, so they definitely have some in-person differences. I feel like you can also kind of tell on camera that the White Lie shade is a little bit cooler toned, but what makes this one a neon white as opposed to Carpe Diem is that this one is actually blacklight reactive. So if you are under blacklight, you can see the polish kind of shining. So it's really cool that way. Definitely an interesting concept, but I always love having a good quality white. So here's all the polishes, and I have to say, gorgeous color story this time around. I feel like I can make so many of these work together, and I really appreciate that. I also love the re-releases that we got this year. These are some of my all-time favorites, but I am especially excited for Suninn. I just can't get enough of these neon yellows, and any variation that I can get, it will never be enough for me. I always want more, so definitely excited to see a new one from them. But yeah, I just think these colors are gorgeous together. I feel like they're gonna skittle really nicely together, and I can play around with them a lot, but what makes them the best is these formulas, in my opinion. They're just so easy to work with. So definitely a very beginner-friendly way to approach neon nail polishes. I really appreciate that. But yeah, let's talk about it a little bit more. So those are the polishes, and no surprise, I totally love them. I think Cirque really makes some of the best neon polishes that I have ever had in my life. They're always just so smooth and consistent. I love the way that they look like they have a white base underneath, but they're fully opaque on their own, and they also just apply like regular cream nail polishes. One thing that I've struggled with a lot of brands is that when you're applying a neon nail polish, it doesn't quite feel the same as another type of cream finish. It almost just feels very chalky. They're usually not very self-leveling, or they can sometimes feel very gummy and difficult to apply, and it can take like 4+ coats to get full opacity. And that is just not something that I experience with Cirque neons. I think they just do an incredible job making them, and I love that they listen to their community and bring back shades that are always requested. So I think that's really cool. I thought the color curation of this year was really nice, and I thought the inclusion of the white was really interesting as well. I actually really loved the undertone of that color, and it's nice to have a blacklight reactive kind of white like that. So yeah, now let's get into pricing and availability. All of these polishes come in 11 milliliter bottles, and they do feature the wide flat brush that has a rounded tip, so application super easy. Like I said, these polishes are limited edition, and there's no guarantee that polishes are going to be re-released in the future, so I always recommend grabbing them when you can. They retail on the Cirque Colors website for $12.50 USD each, or you can get the full set of 7, and that is at a discounted rate of $78.75 USD. I also do have an affiliate discount discount code, so you can use the code KELLI to get 10% off your order. I'll link it down below. But yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think of the Vice collection in general? What do you think of this particular color story and the new releases? And do you have any Vice shades from previous releases that you absolutely love? I know I sure do. But leave it all in the comments. We can chat about it. And if you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. I love you all, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's would you rather question. This is a good one. I know the answer for almost everybody, I think. The question is, would you rather wear pajamas everywhere, or would you rather wear a Halloween costume everywhere? And I think the majority of us will probably choose to wear pajamas everywhere, because why not? Pajamas are the most comfortable clothes. I'm actually wearing pajamas right now. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you. I'm wearing pajama pants with little penguins on them, even though it is very hot. But I don't know, I just like wearing pajamas all the time. Although I have shared in a previous fun fact that when I was younger, I used to wear a pirate costume everywhere I went for a period of time. I was in my pirate phase, and honestly, I don't have a problem wearing costumes. Like, I'm not a person who gets shy about fully wearing a costume, even if it's not around Halloween time. I was actually just talking to somebody recently about how back in the day, and sometimes I still do this, I will pretend that somewhere that I am going with friends is a costume party just to get everybody to dress up with me. And then, you know, it's actually probably a kind of a mean thing to do, but I just really like dressing up. But yeah, let me know your answer in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!